My name is Amenyo Setordzie. I'm the Managing Director of FirstBanC Financial Services. Yes, let me take you through the outline. I'll speak about what wealth creation is all about, financial planning and budgeting, investment, and then I'll conclude. Now, what is definition of wealth? I want to ask all of you here, if somebody can help me, what is your definition of wealth? By hand. Yes, gentlemen.
Each discipline has a way of defining their wealth.
Yes.
So allow me to come from the economics background.
Please go ahead.
We refer to wealth as anything that brings satisfaction to a human being.
Okay.
If I was cite an example, basket map, his wealth is the ability to make people laugh and make money out of it. So that is his wealth. And those laughing, because he has created a particular product for them, they are laughing and is making wealth out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we give him a round of applause? Yes, wealth to somebody, it's about gold or money in the bank. And to somebody, it's having houses all over Cape Coast here, beautiful houses. That is somebody's definition of wealth. To somebody, it's about having money. I mean, dollars in the bank account. And to somebody, it's about how to fly to have your vacation. Somebody wants to go to Acapulco Bay, Bermuda. Somebody wants to go to the United States. That's your definition of wealth. To somebody, it's having beautiful cars like a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, as you can see on the slide. That is somebody's definition of wealth. But you can't fault anybody if your definition of wealth is, as he just said, or it's about cars. What it means basically is that everybody has his own definition of wealth. To me, my definition of wealth will be different from your definition of wealth. What happens is this, that your definition of wealth is influenced by where you are, where you're coming from, which family you're coming from, which school you've attended, what stage you are at in your life. That influences your definition of wealth. Now, what it means to us is that let's not be fixated when it comes to definition of wealth. Don't be caught up in somebody's definition of wealth. What it means to that person may be different from yours. So just have your own personal definition of wealth. Define what wealth means to you and how to plan for it. The bottom line in all this is this, that you want to have what? Financial independence. Financial independence simply means that if I feel like buying a car, I do it without struggle. If I feel like buying a house, I do it without struggle. But you don't wish this to happen. You plan your way into all this. And that's what we are going to do now. What is financial planning and what is budgeting? In summary, financial planning has to do with what? You identify a goal. What do I want to do? What I want to do will cost me money. If it costs me money, do I have what it takes to do that? So what do? You look at what you have, what you don't have, or what you own, what you owe. You find a difference of that, or what the difference of that would inform as to how much you need to raise in order to achieve what you have to do. But what that means also is the fact that you have to develop a plan, you go ahead of it, you implement, and then the loop continues. But I'm going to give you some tips that you need when it comes to financial planning and budgeting. The first one has to do with what? Your goals must be what? SMART. I'm sure you all know what a SMART goal is. The S refers to what? The M refers to what? And A? Relevant. I've given you the answer already. And the T refers to what? Exactly. So what it means is that when you set up a goal, your goal must be what? SMART. For example, you want to buy a plot of land in 2 years' time. Perhaps you've done your research and you know that today a plot of land is costing for how much? It's costing about 5,500. In 2 years' time, it will be about 8,000. What it means then is that you have to plan for the next 24 months in order to buy that plot of land. You have 24 months, and it translates into how much? 333 cities today, as in monthly savings that you have to do for 24 months in order to buy a plot of land. Now, if you are if you are investing with a financial institution such as FirstBanC, you may not even need to save 333 cedis in order to get 8,000 in 2 years' time. What I mean by that is that interest would have covered the difference. In other words, you may have to save how much? Just 250 for 24 months, plus interest, you'll be able to get 8,000. Now, your goal is smart. Why? Because it's specific. You want to do what? Buy what? A plot of land. It's measurable because you know the value of the land, which is 8,000. It's achievable because you may be earning about 1,000. You just have to put aside about 33%, and you'll be able to do your savings. It's relevant because you and I need a shelter, isn't it? So planning to buy a house is nothing way off. And it's time-bound because it's within 24-month period. Now, what is key for us is this, that when you set up a goal, it's important you categorize your goals into three sectors. One, you must have your short-term goal, you must have your medium-term goal, you must have your long-term goal. What it means, in effect, is this, that it defines the way you set your priorities. If you look at the next slide, having set up your short-term goal, having set your medium-term goal, and having set your long-term goal, you are able to list your income and your expenses. Now, what most of us do all the time is what? We mix our needs and our wants. When you have that, what that means is that you are always all over the place. Now, having set up your goal, you are able to differentiate between your needs, you are able to differentiate between your needs and your wants. There's a habit most of us have, which we call the inflation lifestyle. That is to say that when you are earning 1,000 Ghana cedi today, next year, when they increase your salary to, say, 2,000, your lifestyle changes. For instance, you have a watch that is doing well for you. All of a sudden, because your salary is increased to about 2,000, what do? You say, this time around, I need about 2 extra watches. One for outing, the other one, I mean, that would be meant for work. The other one that I just wear when I'm at home. But the other 2 watches that you bought, it's absolute waste of money. You don't need 2 extra watches. You understand? So what do? The extra watches that you've purchased, that amount could have been saved. That will yield you, give you interest. Now, what we all need to do when it comes to wealth creation is this, that there's a need for all of us to create funds. Funds are saying you have your emergency fund, you have a fund called retirement fund, you have a fund you call education fund. What that says is that you have specific fund for specific objective. Now, if you have an emergency fund, what it means that if you have anything that comes up all of a sudden, the only fund that you can attach, the only funds that you can use to satisfy that is your emergency fund. You are not going towards your retirement fund. You are not going towards your education fund because they are all for specific objective. One key thing that we all have to take note of in wealth creation is discipline. Discipline is what will tell you that you have to wake up at dawn 5 o'clock to study. It's discipline that will tell you that you don't feel like staying at home to learn. You have to go out and have fun. But discipline will tell you that, you know what, you have exams ahead of you, so you have to sit at home and learn. And that is the same principle that applies in wealth creation. Discipline organizes you. Discipline means that you get focus. Discipline means that you eliminate all the distraction in your life. One other thing you need to take note of is budgeting as a lifestyle. Anything you want to do in life, you need to budget for. Anything. What it does is this, that you are able to know how much you are earning, how much expenses you have to incur, and so much so that you are not taking unawares. If you don't budget in your life, what happens is that at the end of the month, it doesn't matter how much you earn. You always run into trouble because you are just buying. You are just buying. You can't even know what is a want, what is a need. There's this quotation that strikes me that says, you will never get financially independent or free by your earnings alone. Let your money work for you. All that it says is that whatever you earn today, if you don't put some aside, asking to earn interest for you, that you can depend on in the future, everything that comes, you spend all. It will get to a point where you have nothing to spend. Somebody says, if you spend all your earnings as you earn, you are just 1 month away from poverty. Because the month that you don't earn anything, it means you have nothing to fall on. Now, I'll take you through some investment tips that are key for all of us. The first one is starting early. You are so lucky that at this point in your life, at this age, you are being told what to do when it comes to investment. When you start early, the better for you. When you look at the slide, the gentleman started at the age of 21. By the age of 30, he would have made about 38,000. And if he decides not to invest any further, by the age of 40, he will be making about 277,911.58. Now, the one who started at the age of 31, at the age of 40, how much will he be earning? He'll be having about 38,236. That tells you that when you start early, the better for you. It enhances your wealth-making ability. The other issue that I would want to talk about is about setting clear-cut goals. I spoke about that already, which has to do with the fact that you need your goals to be segregated into your short-term, medium, and long-term. Investment goals is also like that. Now, there's something you need to do. You need to be curious. You need to do your research into financial information. You need to understand when they say bonds, what does it mean? When they say mutual fund, what does it mean? When they talk about stocks, what does it mean? You have to be curious. You have to study all that yourself. And when you're doing your investment, because you are well informed as to what stocks are, as to what bonds are, when you are investing, you know, when you, let's say, for instance, you invested in first fund or mutual fund, when you are given a report and they are telling you that 20% is into stocks, 30% is into what? Bonds, you tend to appreciate that report. You tend to appreciate that information. But if you're not well informed, they give you a report, you don't know what you're reading. One key thing that is good for all of us, that must be done, is what we call developing a wealth growth pattern. Wealth growth pattern means that if you started investing this year and you do 100 cedis every month, what it means is that next year, when you have improvement in your salary, inch that up. Let's say you are investing 150 next year. Next year, you're talking about 200. Don't be stuck to 100 cedis all the time, because there's the need for you to do what? Grow your wealth. And this is something that is non-negotiable. Consistency. Look at the chart in front of you, the slide in front of you. Let's say you have two gentlemen from my village. One is called what? Consistent. The other is called inconsistent. Now look at the flow. The consistent investor was consistent as far as 100 cedis investment is concerned all through the year. And the gentleman called inconsistent, he started in January, February. By March, he got tired and said, what is this business of investment? I'm not going to invest again. And he stopped. And then somehow he woke up and said, you know what? April, I'm going to invest again. He did that in May, and then he went to sleep again. June, July, August, he did not invest. At the end of the year, you can see the difference. What the consistent investor made, almost 1,338, the gentleman just made how? How much? Just half of it. So there's the need for us to be consistent and be focused when we're doing our investment. And this has to do with earning your earning power. How do you boost your earning power? It's about working on your CV, working on your ability to what? Improve your CV, ability to improve yourself. If you're a first degree holder and what you earn, you are not comfortable, work towards furthering your education. It could be going for your master's. It could be going for a professional exam. That will what? Enhance your competence level. But in all this, when you are investing and you can't sleep, then you are no more doing investment. You are no more doing wealth creation. You are rather gambling with your life. Because investment doesn't mean that you should lose sleep. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to sleep. It should mean that what it means is that there's a balance between your wealth creation and your life. In other words, a little fun doesn't hurt, right? Or is it a case that you get rid of fun in your life and then go ahead investing? No. There must be a balance. So much so that you can be consistent in your investment growth pattern. And be curious. Ask questions. Don't stay in your closet. Don't stay in your corner and not invest. Be consistent, ask questions, and you'll be educated. Knowledge acquisition has to do with asking And the last thing I want to talk to you about is that we finished our investment 101. I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you all to invest now. Invest with which institution? FirstBanC. Because next year, God's willing, when we meet here, I'm going to mark the script. And when I'm marking, everybody has a marking scheme, a special marking scheme. So I will advise you now that be consistent, go ahead and invest now. And I can assure you 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you'll be grateful that Mr. and Mrs. Ocran created this platform for us to learn from them. Thank you very much.